The Hollow of Harper's Ferry Chapter 1. The awakening, I woke to the smell of damp stone and the faint drip of water somewhere in the dark. My head throbbed like someone had driven a spike through my skull, and my limbs felt heavy, as if they'd been chained to the earth. A faint light flickered on the wall, not electric but the unsteady glow of a gas lamp, casting shadows that danced like ghosts. I was lying on a cot, the springs creaking under my weight as I shifted. My hands fumbled over my body, expecting bandages or wounds, but there was nothing, just an ache that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Where was I? The room was small, the walls rough-hewn stone, like a cellar or a crypt. A single wooden door stood across from me, its surface scarred and splintered. Above it, a clock hung crookedly, its hands frozen at 2:17. Was it morning or night? I couldn't tell. The air was thick, musty, and there was no window to let in the world outside. I swung my legs off the cot, my boots hitting the floor with a dull thud that echoed in the silence. My name was Thomas Reed. I remembered that much. 32, from Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. It was 1978, or at least it had been the last time I checked. The last thing I remembered was walking out of my apartment, the one above the old bakery on Potomac Street. I'd been heading somewhere, but where? My mind was a fog, a gray haze where memories should have been. I stood, steadying myself against the wall as a wave of dizziness hit me. The gas lamp flickered again, and for a moment, I swore I saw something move in the corner of the room, a shadow that wasn't mine. I froze, my breath catching, but when I looked again, it was gone. Just the lamp playing tricks. Or so I told myself that I crossed to the door, my footsteps loud in the quiet. The handle was cold, rusted, and it turned with a groan. The hallway beyond was narrow, lined with more stone walls, and lit by more gas lamps that sputtered like they were on their last breath. Papers were scattered across the floor, yellowed sheets with faded ink, some with charts and numbers I couldn't make sense of. The air grew colder as I moved forward, and I realized I was shivering, though I wasn't sure if it was from the chill or something else. At the end of the hall was a staircase, spiraling upward into darkness. I called out, "Hello? Anyone there?" My voice bounced off the walls, coming back to me hollow and unanswered. The silence was wrong, too heavy for a place that should have been alive with people. This wasn't a house or an apartment. It felt institutional, maybe an old asylum or a hospital basement. Harper's Ferry had places like that, relics from the Civil War era, abandoned and left to rot. But why was I here? I started up the stairs, each step creaking under my weight. The air grew thicker, and the flickering lamps cast long shadows that seemed to stretch toward me. My heart was pounding now, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. At the top of the stairs was another door, this one metal, with a small, barred window. I peered through it and saw nothing but more darkness. I pushed it open, and it swung wide with a screech that made my teeth ache. Beyond was a lobby, or what might have been one once. A receptionist's desk sat in the center, covered in dust so thick it looked like snow. The chairs were overturned, their cushions torn, and the windows were boarded up, letting in only slivers of light from the street lamps outside. The clock on the wall read 2:17, just like the one downstairs. I checked my watch, but the hands were still stuck at the same time. A chill ran through me. Something was very wrong here. Chapter 2. The empty town. I stepped outside, the humid night air hitting me like a slap. Harper's Ferry was quiet, too quiet. No crickets, no rustling leaves, just a stillness that made my skin crawl. The street was empty, the old brick buildings lining Potomac Street dark and lifeless. Street lamps cast pools of yellow light, but they flickered like they were struggling to stay alive. Abandoned cars sat along the curb, their tires slashed, windows cracked. It was like the town had been frozen in time, its people snatched away in the middle of the night that I started walking, my boots echoing on the cobblestones. Harper's Ferry wasn't a big place, historic, touristy, full of old shops and museums about John Brown and the Civil War. I'd lived here my whole life, but this version of it felt alien. The bakery where I rented my apartment was dark, its sign hanging crookedly. I peered through the window, expecting to see the familiar counter with its glass case of pastries. But it was empty, the shelves bare and coated in dust. I tried to piece together what had happened. The last thing I remembered was locking my door, heading out into the night. It had been raining, hadn't it? I could almost feel the cold drops on my face, hear the rumble of thunder. But after that, nothing. Had I been in an accident? That would explain the ache in my body, the fog in my head. Maybe I'd been taken to a hospital, but this place didn't feel like any hospital I'd ever seen. That I kept walking, passing the old armory, its gates rusted shut. The Shenandoah River should have been audible, its waters rushing over the rocks. But there was no sound, not even a whisper. I stopped at the corner of High Street, where a traffic light blinked yellow, over and over, with no cars to heat it. In the distance, I saw a faint glow, a fire, maybe, burning far off toward the hills. It was too far to make out details, but it stretched across the horizon, a wall of orange and red that made my stomach twist. That I called out again. "Is anyone there?" My voice echoed, unanswered. I was alone, or so I thought. Then I saw it, a figure standing under a street lamp about a block away. It was too far to make out details, but it was human-shaped, standing still, facing away from me. My heart leapt. Another person, finally. "Hey," I shouted, jogging toward them. "Hey, wait up." As I got closer, the figure turned, and my breath caught in my throat. It was me. Same dark hair, same leather jacket, same height. But the eyes, God, the eyes. They were empty, like pits that swallowed the light. The figure smiled, a slow, cruel grin that didn't reach those hollow eyes. I stopped dead, my blood running cold. This wasn't right. This wasn't possible. I backed away, my boots scuffing the pavement. The figure didn't move, just watched me, that smile growing wider. Then, in a blink, it was gone, like it had never been there. I spun around, expecting it to appear behind me, but the street was empty. My heart was hammering now, and I could feel sweat beading on my forehead despite the cool night air. What the hell was that? Chapter 3. The first death. I didn't stick around to find out. I turned and ran, my footsteps pounding against the cobblestones. The streets blurred past me. Old storefronts, the post office, the church with its steeple looming like a judge. I didn't know where I was going, just that I needed to get away from that thing, whatever it was. My lungs burned, my legs ached, but I kept running until I reached the edge of town, where the road dipped down toward the river. The bridge over the Shenandoah was old, its iron supports rusted and creaking in the wind. I stopped to catch my breath, leaning against the railing. The water below was black, reflecting nothing, not even the faint light of the stars. I tried to think, to make sense of it all. Was I dreaming? Hallucinating? The pain in my body felt too real for that. But the figure, the empty town, it was like something out of a nightmare. I heard footsteps behind me, slow and deliberate. I turned, and there it was again, standing at the edge of the bridge. My double. It was closer now, close enough that I could see the details. The stubble on its face, the worn patches on its jacket, identical to mine. But those eyes, those black voids, made it something else entirely. It raised a hand, and I saw the glint of a blade, a long, thin knife that caught the light of the street lamp. I didn't think. I just ran, sprinting across the bridge, my boots slipping on the wet metal. The footsteps followed, faster now, closing the distance. I could hear its breath, ragged and hungry, right behind me. I reached the other side and darted into the woods, branches snapping under my feet. The trees were dense, their shadows swallowing what little light there was. I stumbled, my foot catching on a root, and I went down hard, my hands scraping against the dirt. Before I could get up, it was on me. I felt the weight of it, heavy and unyielding, pinning me to the ground. The knife flashed, and then there was pain, sharp, burning pain in my chest. I screamed, thrashing, but it was too strong. The blade plunged again and again, each stab sending a jolt through my body. Those empty eyes stared down at me, that smile never wavering. As the world faded to black, that I woke up gasping, back on the cot in the stone room. The gas lamp flickered, the clock still read 2:17. My chest ached, like the knife was still there, but when I touched it, there was no blood, no wound. Just the memory of pain, so vivid I could still feel it pulsing through me. I sat up, my hands shaking. What the hell was happening? Was I dead? Trapped in some kind of loop? I didn't have answers, but I knew I couldn't stay here. Not with that thing out there, waiting for me. Chapter 4. The stranger. I didn't waste time. I grabbed the door handle and stepped into the hallway again. The same scattered papers, the same flickering lamps. This time, I noticed something I hadn't before, a clipboard hanging on the wall, half hidden behind a stack of crates. It had my name on it, Thomas Reed, male, age 32. Below that were words I didn't understand. Cycle 7, Despair Matrix, ongoing. What did that mean? I tore the page off and stuffed it into my pocket, then headed for the stairs. The lobby was the same, dusty, abandoned, the clock stuck at 2:17. I didn't linger. I pushed through the front door and back into the empty town. The fire in the distance was brighter now, closer, its glow painting the sky red. I stuck to the shadows, avoiding the street lamps, my eyes scanning for that figure. I wasn't going to let it catch me off guard again. That I made it to the old train station, its platform cracked and overgrown with weeds. The ticket booth was empty, its glass shattered, but inside, I heard a noise, a soft shuffle, like someone trying to be quiet. I froze, gripping the edge of the booth. "Who's there?" I called, my voice barely above a whisper. That a woman stepped out from behind a bench, her hands raised. She was young, maybe in her mid-20s, with short blonde hair and wide, nervous eyes. "Don't hurt me," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm not one of them." "One of what?" I asked, stepping closer but keeping my distance. She looked real, not like the thing that had chased me. Her clothes were dirty, her face pale, like she'd been running for days. "You know what?" she said, glancing over her shoulder. "The things that look like us. The ones that kill you." My stomach dropped. "You've seen them too?" She nodded. "I'm Clara. Clara Hayes. I woke up in the old schoolhouse on Washington Street. Same time every night, 2:17. I've died. God, I don't know how many times. 5, 6. It's hard to keep track." "I'm Thomas," I said, my voice shaking. "I woke up in some kind of basement. I've died at least once. Maybe more. I don't know what's going on." She let out a bitter laugh. "Join the club. This place, it's not right. It's like we're stuck, repeating the same night over and over. And those things, they're always there, waiting. Have you seen anyone else?" I asked. "A few," she said, her eyes darkening. "But they don't last long. Either the doubles get them, or they just give up. I saw a guy last cycle, just sat down in the street and let it take him. It was like he didn't care anymore." I swallowed hard, remembering the figure that looked like me. "We need to stick together. Maybe we can figure this out." Clara hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, but we can't stay here. They always find you eventually." Chapter 5. The plan. Clara led me through the back streets, sticking to alleys and avoiding the main roads. She moved like someone who'd done this before, checking corners, listening for footsteps. "I've been trying to get to the edge of town," she said as we ducked behind a dumpster. "There's a road that leads up to the hills. I thought maybe if I could get far enough, I'd find something. Answers, maybe. Sounds better than waiting to get stabbed again," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. The pain from my last death was still fresh, a phantom ache in my chest. "But what about the fire? It's getting closer." "I know," she said. "I saw it from the school roof a couple cycles ago. It's like it's eating the town, bit by bit. I don't know what it is, but it's not normal. Nothing here is." We reached a hardware store on Shenandoah Street. its windows boarded up but the door ajar. Clara pushed it open, and we slipped inside. The shelves were stocked with tools, hammers, axes, crowbars, but everything was covered in dust like it hadn't been touched in years. "We need weapons," Clara said, grabbing a hatchet. "Something to fight back with." I picked up a crowbar, its weight reassuring in my hands. "You think we can kill them?" "I don't know," she admitted. "But I've tried running, hiding, everything. They always find me. Maybe if we fight, we can at least slow them down." We spent the next few minutes gathering supplies, flashlights, rope, a couple of knives. Clara found a map of Harpers Ferry in the back office, faded but legible. "Look," she said, spreading it out on the counter. "The fire's coming from the west, near Bolivar Heights. If we head east, toward the Maryland border, we might find a way out. Or we might run into more of those things," I said, but I didn't have a better idea. We agreed to move at first light, if there was such a thing in this place. The clocks were stuck, and the sky was a constant gray, but Clara said she'd seen the horizon lighten once. Just before she died again, as we prepared to leave, I heard a noise, a low, guttural hum, like a machine starting up. It was coming from outside, growing louder. Clara's eyes widened. "They're here," she whispered. Chapter 6. The second death. We crouched behind the counter, clutching our weapons. The hum grew louder, vibrating through the floor, and then I heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, like someone was savoring the hunt. The door creaked open, and I peeked over the counter. It was my double again, those black eyes scanning the room, that cruel smile stretching across its face. But there was another figure with it, one that looked like Clara, same blonde hair, same build, but with the same empty eyes. "They're both here," I whispered, my heart pounding. Clara gripped her hatchet, her knuckles white. "We can't outrun them. We have to fight." Before I could argue, she stood and swung her hatchet at her double. The blade caught it in the shoulder, and it staggered back, but it didn't bleed. Instead, it laughed, a hollow, echoing sound that made my skin crawl. My double lunged at me, and I swung the crowbar, catching it in the chest. It stumbled but kept coming, its knife flashing in the dim light. The fight was chaos. Clara was grappling with her double, both of them crashing into shelves, tools clattering to the floor. I swung again, aiming for my double's head, but it was too fast. It grabbed my arm, twisting it until I dropped the crowbar. Pain shot through me as the knife plunged into my side. Once, twice, 3 times. I screamed, falling to my knees, blood pooling on the floor. Clara's scream cut through the air as her double overpowered her, driving a knife into her chest. Her eyes met mine for a moment, wide with fear, before she collapsed. My double leaned close, its breath hot and rancid, and whispered, "You can't win." Then it drove the knife into my throat, and everything went black. I woke up on the cot, gasping, the pain still burning in my side and throat. The clock read 2:17. I pounded my fist against the wall, frustration boiling over. How many times would I have to die? How many times would I wake up here, trapped in this nightmare? Chapter 7. The revelation. This time, I didn't leave the room right away. I sat on the cot, trying to piece together what I knew. The doubles, the empty town, the fire, Clara, it all had to mean something. I pulled the crumpled clipboard page from my pocket and read it again. Despair matrix. The words felt important, but I didn't know why. Was this some kind of experiment? A punishment? I needed answers, and I wasn't going to find them sitting here. I left the room. But instead of heading to the lobby, I went deeper into the basement, following the hallway past the staircase. It led to a heavy iron door, locked with a padlock. I didn't have a key, but I remembered the crowbar from the hardware store. If I could get back there, maybe I could break it open. I made my way to the lobby, then out into the town. The fire was closer now, its heat palpable even from miles away. I stuck to the alleys, avoiding the main streets, and reached the hardware store without incident. The crowbar was still there, lying where I'd dropped it, surrounded by the wreckage of our fight. I grabbed it and headed back to the basement. The padlock was old, rusted, and it gave way after a few hard swings. The door opened with a groan, revealing a large room filled with machinery. Old computers, their screens glowing with green text, and wires snaking across the floor. In the center was a chair, like a dentist's chair, with straps and electrodes. It looked like something out of a mad scientist's lab. On a table nearby was a file, labeled Project Hollow. I flipped it open and skimmed the pages. Most of it was technical jargon, but a few phrases stood out: memory suppression, trauma simulation, cycle reset. There were names listed: mine, Clara's, and others I didn't recognize. Each had a number next to it. Mine at 7, Clara's at 12. Cycles, I realized. The number of times we died that I heard footsteps behind their eyes were black voids, just like the doubles outside, but their movements were slower, almost mechanical. They didn't speak, just stared at me with those empty gazes. I backed away, clutching the crowbar, but they didn't follow. Instead, they turned and walked toward a door at the far end of the room, disappearing through it. That I didn't stick around to see where they went. I grabbed the file and ran, heading back to the lobby and out into the town. I needed to find Clara. If she was still out there, maybe we could make sense of this together. Chapter 8. The Alliance. I found Clara at the schoolhouse, just like she'd said. She was sitting on the steps, her hatchet in her lap, staring at the fire in the distance. "You're alive," she said, her voice flat. "For now. You too," I said, sitting beside her. I showed her the file and explained what I'd found: the machinery, the Project Hollow documents, the cycles. Her eyes widened as she read, her fingers tracing the words. "They're doing this to us," she whispered. "Some kind of experiment." "But why?" "I don't know," I admitted. "But I think it's tied to our memories. I keep getting flashes. My sister, Emily. She died a few years ago. Car accident. I was driving. I don't remember much, but I know it was my fault." Clara's face softened. "I lost someone too. My fiancé, Daniel. He was sick, cancer. I couldn't save him. I keep seeing him in my dreams, but he's not him. He's one of those things." We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of our shared grief hanging between us. Then Clara stood, gripping her hatchet. "We need to end this. Whatever this experiment is, we need to break it." I nodded. "The machinery in the basement. If we destroy it, maybe we can stop the cycles." We made a plan. We'd go back to the basement, smash the computers, and try to find a way out. But we both knew it wouldn't be easy. The doubles were out there, and the fire was getting closer. We had to move fast. Chapter 9. The confrontation. We reached the basement without running into our doubles, but the air was thick with the smell of smoke. The fire was close now, its glow visible through the boarded-up windows. We entered the machinery room, and I started swinging the crowbar, smashing monitors and tearing out wires. Sparks flew, and the hum of the machines grew erratic, then stopped. Clara was at the chair, ripping off the electrodes, when we heard it. The hum again, louder this time. The door at the far end of the room burst open, and our doubles stepped through. But they weren't alone. There were others, dozens of them, all with those black eyes, all wearing faces that weren't quite right. Some looked like me, some like Clara, others like strangers. "Run!" I shouted, but it was too late. They moved as one, a wave of shadows that overwhelmed us. I swung the crowbar, catching one in the head, but it didn't stop. Clara's hatchet flashed, but there were too many. They grabbed her, pulling her toward the door, and I lunged after her, only to feel a blade sink into my back. The pain was blinding, but I kept fighting, trying to reach her. I saw her double drive a knife into her chest, her scream cut short as she collapsed. My double leaned close, its breath hot against my ear. "You can't break the cycle," it whispered, before plunging the knife into my heart. That I woke up on the cot, the clock at 2:17. But something was different. The pain was worse, like every death was stacking on top of the last. And there was a new sound, a low, rhythmic beeping, like a heart monitor. I looked around and saw wires attached to my head, leading to a machine in the corner. This wasn't the same room. It was cleaner, brighter, with a sterile smell that reminded me of a hospital. Chapter 10. The truth. I tore the wires off, ignoring the sting, and stumbled to my feet. The room was larger, filled with beds like mine, each with a person strapped to it. Some were still, others twitching, their eyes moving beneath closed lids. Clara was there, 4 beds down, wires attached to her forehead. She looked peaceful, but I knew she was trapped in the same nightmare I was. A man entered the room, small and wiry, with gray hair and glasses. He carried a clipboard, his eyes scanning me with mild surprise. "You're awake," he said, his voice calm but edged with something I couldn't place. "That's unexpected. What is this?" I demanded, my voice hoarse. "What are you doing to us?" He sighed, setting the clipboard down. "Project Hollow. A way to process trauma, to confront it in a controlled environment. You came to us, Mr. Reed, after your sister's death. You wanted to forget, to move on. We gave you that chance. By trapping me in a nightmare," I shouted, stepping toward him. "By letting those things kill me over and over." "It's not real," he said, raising his hands. "It's a simulation, designed to help you face your guilt. The doubles, the town, they're manifestations of your mind. You've made progress, but you're not done yet." I looked at Clara, still unconscious. "And her? What about the others?" "Some make it through," he said. "Others don't. The mind is fragile. If you give up, the simulation consumes you." I remembered the bodies in the basement, the pile of flesh. Was that what happened to those who gave up? I didn't wait for him to explain. I grabbed the clipboard and smashed it over his head, sending him sprawling. I ran to Clara, shaking her, trying to wake her, but she didn't move. The door opened, and 2 men entered, large and imposing. They grabbed me, pinning my arms as I struggled. "Let me go," I screamed, but they were too strong. They dragged me toward a padded room, strapping me into a straitjacket. The doctor appeared, a syringe in his hand. "You'll thank us one day," he said. Before the needle sank into my neck, that I woke up in the padded room, the walls soft and white, the clock on the wall reading 2:17. I don't know how long I've been here. Days, weeks, maybe longer. They feed me, sedate me, but the memories of the town, the doubles, Clara, they're fading, like a dream I can't hold on to. Sometimes I hear screams from the other rooms, or the faint beeping of a heart monitor. I don't know if Clara made it out. I don't know if I ever will. But sometimes, in the quiet, I feel it. That presence, those black eyes watching me. And I wonder if I'm still in the simulation, or if the simulation was ever real at all. Maybe this is the real nightmare, and I'll never wake up.